All right, good evening and welcome everyone. Before we start our meeting tonight, we have some very important business to attend to, and for that I will turn it over to our municipal judge, Tony Bradley Smith.
Everybody wants to come down. We'll do it down here. So CB, Patrick, Derek, Melody. Okay, we're going to swear everybody in at once. Okay? Everybody can raise their right hand, please. I state your name.
I, Cedric Gale,
Do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
all laws of the State of Oklahoma,
all laws of the State of Oklahoma,
and the Charter and ordinances
and the Charter and ordinances
of the City of Muskogee, Oklahoma.
of the City of Muskogee, Oklahoma,
And I will not knowingly receive,
and I will not knowingly receive,
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
any money or other valuable thing
any money or other valuable things
for the performance or non-performance
for the performance or non-performance
of any act or duty relating to my office,
of any act or duty relating to my office,
other than the compensation allowed by law.
other than the compensation allowed by law.
I further swear
I further swear
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
as a council member or mayor,
as a mayor
of the City of Muskogee
of the City of Muskogee
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
If anybody wants to step up and take pictures of their family member or friend, Derek, come down here. We're going to shake the judge's hand. She's real important while she's here. What are we doing?
We do it here?
You're going to shake her hand all by yourself?
Melody?
Oh, go ahead.
Thanks first. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Muskogee Municipal Authority meeting, April 22nd, 2024. First, we'll stand for invocation and flag salute.
Father, thank you for this day and thank you for the many blessings that you give to us. Dear Lord, we ask you to be with us tonight as we conduct our city business and let it glorify you. We ask this all in your name.
Now for the flag salute. Attention. Salute. Pledge. Roll call.
Tom Martindale. Dan Hall. Melanie Cranford. Here. C.B. Abel.
Here.
Shirley Hilton Flannery. Here. Tracy Hous. Here. Jamie Stout. Here. Deputy Mayor Jared Reed.
Here.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Here. Okay, item number 1.
Consider approval of MMA minutes of March 25th, 2024, or take other necessary action.
Move for approval?
Second.
Roll call.
Excuse me. Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jared Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Number 2. Item passes. Item number 2.
Consider approval of MMA claims for the month ending March 31st, 2024, or take other necessary action.
Yes, you have before you the claims from the MMA. We do recommend approval, and be happy to answer any questions.
Move for approval.
And roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jared Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item passes. That concludes this meeting. Okay, next, the Muskogee Redevelopment Authority, April 22nd, 2024. Roll call.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Jared Reed.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Tracy Hous.
Here.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Here.
C.B. Abel.
Here.
Melody Cranford. Here. Dan Hall. Tom Martindale.
Item number 1.
Consider approval of minutes of March 25th, 2024, or take other necessary action.
Second.
And roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jared Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item passes. Item number 2.
Consider approval of Muskogee redevelopment claims for March 16th, 2024 through April 12th, 2024, or take other necessary action.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the authority, you have before you the claims from the Muskogee Redevelopment Authority. Staff recommends approval, and we will be happy to answer any questions.
Move for approval?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jared Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item passes. Okay, next is the Muskogee City Council meeting, April 22nd, 2024. Roll call.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Jared Reed.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Tracy Hous.
Here.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Here.
C.B. Abel.
Here.
Melody Cranford.
Here.
Dan Hall. Tom Martindale.
Mayor, I make a motion that we excuse Councilor Martindale and Councilor Hall.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jared Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Okay, approval of minutes, City Council regular session, March 25th, 2024, or take other necessary action.
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jared Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Okay, the consent agenda, do any of these need to be moved to the regular agenda?
Move for approval?
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Melanie Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Hale.
Yes. Item passes. Number 5.
Receive presentation relating to the proposed taxed increment districts of the city of Muskogee in Muskogee County and take other necessary action.
So before Mr. Ellis begins, I just want to remind the city council of the journey that we're on. We have a lot of important economic development projects that are underway right now. This body, the city council, started the process of a TIF review committee on October 9th of last year. And asked that TIF review committee to make recommendations and a finding about the proposed project that you're about to hear. The council designated in Mayor Coleman as the chairman of that TIF committee, and he is here tonight. The committee has met 3 times, the most recent of which was March 15th. They did make a recommendation to approve these projects. The council did have a public hearing on these matters on April 8th of 2024, and so for now about 6 months plus, we've been really working towards this goal, and Mr. Ellis is here to explain several things. I think you've covered a lot in this item that will be reflective of the next few as we move forward with this important economic development project, and with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Nate Ellis.
Very good. Nate Ellis, Public Finance Law Group in Oklahoma City. So I have a presentation that I'll go through. Some of it's basic, and some of it will cover what we're talking about here. There are 3 public hearings scheduled. One of them is relative to a city proposed TIF district. The other 2 are relative, one is to a county proposed TIF district and the termination of a county proposed TIF district. The county, kind of at the same time, the city was considering their TIF district, was looking at the same thing. The projects that we're talking about, or the infrastructure projects that we're talking about relative to these are the same between both of the projects, and so it made sense to kind of coordinate the efforts of the county and the city, since the review committee was comprised of a lot of the same people, the same taxing entities that were affected, and so we tried to meet and have things at the same time. So we're having all 3 of the public hearings, second public hearing tonight consecutively, but the first one is the first public hearing that the city TIF we'll talk about here in a minute is the one that you'll actually have some action items on relative to that afterwards. So we have a TIF district. This is an economic development tool, and kind of for the benefit of, there's several new faces on the council tonight, so for their benefit, I'll try not to go too fast, but if you've got any questions, please feel free to jump in. It's established under the Oklahoma Constitution and Oklahoma statutes called the Local Development Act, and what it does is it allows a city to identify a specific geographic area to capture the incremental new tax revenue that's generated as a result of development and use that revenue to help offset infrastructure costs and other necessary costs related to making that TIF or making those projects actually move forward. So it's kind of a but-for test that, you know, you need the infrastructure in order to have the development. You need the development to help pay for the infrastructure. And so this is a tool that allows that to help move that forward. It's ultimately created by a city ordinance or a county resolution after completion of a TIF process. And conceptually, this kind of helps. You have an existing tax base out there. So you have existing property. It's generating whatever it's been generating historically in taxes. In this instance, the property that we're actually talking about, the city is held by the Municipal Authority. The county is actually held by the Muskogee Port Authority. So it's actually not generating any tax revenue right now. It's effectively off the tax rolls. But say, for instance, we had a value out there that had been historically generated. That baseline value would be established after a TIF is created, and whatever baseline taxes are being generated would continue to go to all the taxing jurisdictions. So it's not taking away existing tax revenue, but it's really a tool to help try and raise that tax base significantly going into the future. So you have the existing tax base that continues to go to the taxing entities, and then you have that sloped area above. That's the incremental taxes. Those are new tax revenues that are being generated over time once the development comes into place and that valuation is enhanced. And then at the end of the TIF district, once all the project's been complete, the project costs have been paid for, then you have a higher elevated tax base, and 100% of that is going to the taxing jurisdiction. So again, it's really a tool to help enhance that tax base and then long-term, you've got an increase in the overall tax base. So the process we go through, we have a determination of eligibility. In this instance, we've actually got enterprise zone areas that are affected, but it could potentially be a reinvestment area where there's just not been development historically, or it's been difficult for it to move forward. A project plan is the document that we put together. That's kind of the outline of what is going to transpire over time. A TIF district can be created for up to 25 years from the time that it starts. It can capture up to 100% of the local tax revenues. And again, the existing baseline revenues wouldn't be affected. There's two different boundary definitions that are important. We have the increment district, and that's the geographic area where we're actually going to capture tax revenue, the new tax revenue that's generated. And then we have the project area, which is a much broader area. That's the area within which different supporting activities might transpire. So for instance, you might have a road construction that's outside the boundaries of the increment district, but it's going to be inside that project area. So if you're outside the increment district, then it's not going to capture any of those tax revenues. Any revenues that might be generated by additional development outside the increment district, 100% of that would go to the taxing entities. It will identify the proposed project and related infrastructure improvements, and then an allocation of those TIF revenues. So the committee is comprised of representatives from the city, the county, the planning commission of the city, the county commissioners, and all the other affected taxing jurisdictions, and then there's also 3 at-large representatives that are voted on by the committee to flesh that out. And the taxing entities that were part of this process were Hilldale Schools, and the area that we'll talk about for the city TIF district actually overlies Hilldale School District. The Muskogee Public Schools, the area that we're talking about for the county TIF district, overlies Muskogee Public Schools. And then further that, the TIF district we'll talk about here in a minute about terminating a county TIF district, that overlies Hilldale School. So we had kind of a blend of different taxing jurisdictions. The rest were all the same. Indian Capital Technology, the county, the health department, the EMS district, and the Eastern Oklahoma Library System. So the project plans were reviewed by the TIF Review Committee. They made findings of eligibility and financial impacts on all the different taxing jurisdictions and business activities. And then they ultimately make a recommendation to the city or the county regarding approval of the plan. The city's project plan for the city increment district was also reviewed by the city's planning commission, and they also made a recommendation, or they would also make a recommendation to the city. We have to hold 2 public hearings. We'll have the second one of those, as Mr. Miller mentioned, the last one was 2 weeks ago. And then once all of that is done, then the city can consider a TIF ordinance to approve the project plan and create the TIF, and likewise the county commissioners can do the same at their level. So, increment district number 1, Muskogee County. This is an existing county TIF, and it's proposed that it be terminated. This related to Project Faith, which was a proposed manufacturing facility back in 2015. The project never did come to fruition. It's set to expire in 2038, had a 23-year term. It's structured that it would capture 100% of the ad valorem tax revenue through July of 23, and then after that, whatever the school levy and the VOTEC levies would actually drop away, and so effectively it was only capturing about 15%. Again, there was no actual significant investment out there, so there's not been any revenues captured. It had authorized project costs related to some infrastructure projects, so about a little under $11 million. But again, none of the projects were completed, there weren't TIF funds expended or anything. And so the proposal is to terminate TIF district, and that'll also put the county in the position at a future date, if it's appropriate, they could consider other economic incentives, maybe another TIF district if the right project comes along. And so the area where this increment district 1 is, it's just south of Smith Ferry Road, and you see just to the east of the railroad tracks and Highway 69 there. The proposed new increment districts, 1 city, 1 county, comprise several different significant projects. Project Heart, which would go in the Southside Industrial Park, is a battery-grade lithium refinery. It's a proposed $1.13 billion capital investment and hundreds of new jobs. Project Structure is a new fabrication facility for an existing Muskogee business, would potentially be in excess of $20 million capital investment and create an additional 15 to 20 new jobs. And then Project Bifrost, which would be at the John T. Griffin Industrial Park, is the construction of a Bitcoin data center. The proposed investment on the order of $200 million and expected to create approximately 20 new jobs. So increment district number 2, Muskogee County, so this is the county TIF, would be located on the east side of South 24th Street West, south of West 43rd Street, north of West 53rd Street. So if you see the upper left-hand corner, that's the intersection of 24th Street and 43rd Street is a half mile north of that. We'll see here in a minute too, you can see a better aerial, but the increment district number 1 of the county, where the top left-hand corner of that rectangle parcel is, just to the north and the west of that, that's where increment district 1 exists today, that's proposed for termination. So they're kind of catty corner from each other. Increment district number 6, which is the city TIF district, would be the Southside Industrial Park that's on either side of Highway 64, and that's just south of 53rd Street that runs along the northern border of the industrial park. And then this larger red area, this represents our project area. So there's going to be different infrastructure-related activities within that red area. That does not mean there's going to be construction everywhere within that red area. There are just segments of road and water lines and sewer lines and various infrastructure components that are going to trail out to different areas. And so we just mark an area around that larger area. And then you can see the orange box that's kind of in the middle. That's where the county TIF district number 2 would be, and the white area that's on the bottom right, that's where the Southside Industrial Park is. That would be increment district number 6, City of Muskogee. The identified project costs, working with the Port of Muskogee and the review committee members, we identified $24.3 million in total project costs that were really necessary to make these projects move forward. There was a number of other projects that were talked about, ultimately determined maybe they weren't absolutely necessary to these projects. They might be considered at a future date, but they weren't necessary to go down. So we really tried to pare it down to what was absolutely necessary. That includes about $18.2 million in industrial road and utility improvements. The biggest project of that is improvements of 53rd Street to basically make it an industrial grade road from US 69 all the way over to 64. And that provides a lot of benefit to increment district number 2 for the county. It provides a lot of benefit to increment district number 6 for the city, and also really opens up that area for additional industrial development. Right now it's very limited by just the access to it, the quality of road. It also includes about $4.5 million for Southside Industrial Park, East Loop Road, and utility improvements. And so this would provide some internal improvements within Southside Industrial Park that would benefit project structure, potentially Project Heart, and then also allow for additional development out there, ancillary development and supporting development. Then it also includes a little over $6 million for rail infrastructure improvements. And so this is the rail line that comes immediately to the east of the Southside Industrial Park. So I know there's a lot of railroad tracks out there. It's not the one that tracks right along Highway 69. It's one that comes north-south that's just a little bit west of Highway 64. But that's a very important component that'll allow efficient operation of Project Heart. And then other related costs, there's organizational costs, administration costs for the TIF districts, and then financing costs that, if it were kind of a worst case financing, we've identified the potential of $27 million in total financing costs of interest. We really don't anticipate it to be that number, but again, for purposes of a project plan, we need to identify potential numbers there. Potential funding sources for these projects. And this was a really important point relating to these projects as well. Seeking other funding sources outside the TIF district to try and whittle that $24 million number down significantly. And so there's a $1.2 million grant for a trestle bridge replacement project as part of the rail improvements, and that's a confirmed funding source. And then a little under $5.5 million in potential assistance that's being requested from the Department of Transportation for 53rd Street. Again, a requested stage. $2 million in funding assistance from the Oklahoma P3 program that's requested. And then there's also the potential with Project Heart that they have an option for expansion should they choose to move forward with it that would actually allow for us to reduce the amount of that internal East Loop Road project from $4.6 million down to approximately $1.7 million. Again, that's to be determined whether or not that moves forward, but there's a potential for that. And then also, as a component of this, we've talked about ad valorem tax being captured in these TIF districts. We'll talk more in a second. There's also the potential that the sales tax that's generated from purchase of construction materials within the TIF district would be eligible for matching funds from the state out of the Local Development and Enterprise Zone Incentive Leverage Act. And the potential number of that, the matching funds, based on what we've put together, is about $3.9 million that could potentially come towards project costs. So the proposed TIF details. Increment District number 2 would be a 15-year term ending not later than the end of 2039. It would capture 100% of the ad valorem increment revenue. 50% of that, half of it would be allocated to project costs. The other half would be allocated back to the taxing entities on a pro rata basis. So effectively it's a 50-50 TIF district. So the taxing entities would receive 50% of the new revenue that's generated. Also, 50% of the county sales tax that's generated on that project from construction activities, not retail, but just construction activities. 50% of that would go towards project costs, and the other 50% would go back to the county for their normal use. And again, that 50% that is pledged to the TIF district is what would be eligible for matching funds as well. Increment District number 6, City of Muskogee, is proposed for a 17-year term ending not later than December 31 of 2041. Reason why it's 2 years longer, we talked about a 15-year term, but the timeline of Project Heart, that's the main project for that, we anticipate it's going to be several years down the road before they are actually moving forward and have valuation in there. And so we talked about trying to capture 14 or 15 years worth of new tax revenue, and we didn't want to burn up 3 or 4 years on the front end before they were actually generating new tax revenue. And so 50%, capture 100% of the ad valorem, 50% in the same manner allocated to the costs, 50% allocated back to the taxing entities. In the case of TIF 6 for the city, that's Hilldale Schools. In the case of the county, that's Muskogee Schools. And then likewise, it's proposed that 50% of the construction sales tax, 4% sales tax of the city, and 0.65 sales tax of the county would be captured. Half of that going to the project, half of it going back to the taxing entities, and that half that's captured eligible for the matching funds. The projected TIF revenues, we have about $9.5 million in projected ad valorem for TIF 2. So again, half to the TIF, half of it to the taxing entities. So that $4.77 million, that's a projection based on the investment projections that we've been provided. About $3.17 million would be going to Muskogee Public Schools over that 15-year time horizon. About $927 in potential sales tax revenues. Half of that would be $58,000 in TIF revenues, $58,000 going back to the county, and then significant amount that's the state and the state tax funds of $810,000. That would be the source of the matching funds. So if there's $58,000 that's pledged at the local level, generated at the local level, it would be eligible for $58,000 in matching funds. So the total projected TIF revenues are $4.88 million. TIF 6, obviously with a project proposed that's got an investment number with a B after it, you'd expect those to be much larger numbers than they are. It's about $61.2 million in projected ad valorem revenues over that 17-year time horizon. Again, really, it's the last 14 years or so of that 17 years. $30.6 million to the project cost, $30.6 to the taxing entities, which includes about $20.4 million to Hilldale Schools. There's an estimated 15 million plus in projected sales tax revenues, of which 3.87 would be allocated to TIF project costs with a potential match of the same amount, about $540,000 to the county, about 3.3 million to the city. So about 38.3 million in total TIF revenues over the duration. Oversight of TIF revenues, the city or the county in their respective case will apportion the TIF revenues relevant or pursuant to the respective project plan. City manager, the county commissioner chairman will be the person that's listed as in charge of that. They've got the ability to delegate actions to their staff. The city county will approve various public agreements with developers as appropriate. And so it's anticipated that when certain specific projects are ready to move forward, i.e. project heart, project structure, there will be some form of a development agreement that goes in place that memorializes their commitment to move forward, and that, that's the basis for the anticipation of future TIF revenues that will be generated based on their capital investment that they're making. Assistance and development financing for developers. I don't think we anticipate that it's very likely here, but it's possible. Kind of an ideal situation when you have a TIF district is if there's a group that's proposing a project and they're willing to come in and pay for the infrastructure themselves. They front the money. There's absolutely no risk to the city in that if they get repaid from future TIF revenues that result because of their development. They're best positioned to control the future of the project because they're going to be the ones operating it. So that's the ideal situation. Is if so there's a possibility if that works out, if there's one or more of the entities that is willing to undertake some portion of the project costs and front those dollars, then you might see what we would call assistance and development financing, where we would agree to reimburse them over time for those upfront costs. Infrastructure projects will be undertaken by the city or the county. To the extent they're public construction contracts, they'll be subject to competitive bidding. They'd be approved by the city and subject to annual auditing requirements, as would be normal. Expected impacts for taxing entities. Certainly if there's significant job creation, you'd expect increase in population and associated needs, capital infrastructure and service demands. You'd expect construction, permanent employment will increase. That helps generate and drive retail or increase in retail spending within the community, helps generate new sales tax dollars. Ancillary development, including residential growth that occurs outside the TIF district, new rooftops because there's jobs coming to the community. Those will generate additional taxing revenues for the various taxing entities. And one of the key points to help offset that impact on the taxing entities is this concept of revenue sharing. We're not capturing 100% of the revenues, and the school just has to deal with that problem for the next 15 or 20 years. We're splitting that 50-50, so that gives them some growth while the development is coming into place, and then long term they've got that enhanced tax base as well. Business activities, similar impacts. Those short and long-term payroll enhancements will likely result in increased retail spending, benefits local merchants, and that new spending will enhance opportunities for local merchants to provide those additional goods and services, whether they're construction-related jobs in the interim or long-term jobs. So remaining steps, March 15th, as Mr. Miller mentioned, the review committees made their recommendations to the city and the county respectively on the various project plans. April 8th, we had the first public hearing. April 15th, the city's planning commission also recommended approval. And then tonight we'll have our second public hearings on each of them here in a moment. And then after that, on your agenda, you do have an action item that is an ordinance that would adopt the project plan and would create tax increment district number 6. And then there's a resolution following that that basically just makes the effective date of the TIF district. The way it's structured is it It starts when you say it starts, so you can create it, but the recommendation is that you go ahead and create it and then go ahead and start the date that it's effective immediately, and so it's anticipated that it would go out for that not to exceed 17-year period ending December 31 of 2041. And then also, with respect to the county TIF districts, it's proposed that action items will be on their agendas next week, Monday. They have to wait until after these public hearings are done. They'd have items on their agendas next Monday to consider adoption of increment district number 2 and termination of increment district number 1. That's it.
So if the council has questions for Mr. Ellis, this would be the appropriate time, otherwise there's no action on this item.
Yes, ma'am.
You said for the impact of business activities, short-term and long-term payroll will likely result in increased retail spending. Do you have any promotion in place to make sure that those dollars stay in Muskogee?
I mean, I don't know that I'm the best person to ask what you could do to promote that. I think the concept is if you have people that are here in place for 6 months or a year during construction period, you know, they're going to live as close to their work site as they can. They're going to eat food. They're going to stay places. They're going to, participate in different entertainment options. And so it's anticipated that a lot of that money would be spent locally. It's really hard to predict exactly how much that would be, but that's really the anticipation. And then again, you create long-term jobs. You have people, hopefully a significant number of those people choose to reside in Muskogee, and more rooftops. It's kind of both things. More rooftops means there's more dollars, disposable income to be spent on items within the community, and also more rooftops also means there's more different retail opportunities that tend to look at a community and say, yeah, there's enough people there, we'd like to have a location. So it's kind of both sides of that coin.
Anyone else? No action necessary on this item. Item number 6.
Hold a public hearing regarding the proposed creation of increment district number 6, City of Muskogee, and the South Side Industrial Park Economic Development Project Plan, or take other necessary action.
We'll now hold an open public meeting hearings regarding the proposed creation of increment district number 6. Mike?
So this is really the time for the public to speak. We don't have any additional information, and no one, I don't believe anyone has signed up for this item. Is that correct?
Okay. Since no one has signed up to speak on this item, we will now close the public hearing. Council discussion.
Move for approval?
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Melody Cranford,
Yes.
C.B. Abel,
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery,
Yes.
Tracy Hoos,
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed,
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item number 7. Oh, yes, the item passes. Number 6. Item number 7.
Hold a public hearing regarding the proposed creation of increment district number 2, Muskogee County, and the John T. Griffin Industrial Park Economic Development Project Plan, or take other necessary action.
Okay, now we'll open a public hearing regarding the proposed creation of increment district number 2. Mike Miller.
Yes, again, Mr. Ellis presented the information relevant to this item in agenda item number 5.
We've got no one signed up to speak. We'll now entertain a motion. I'm going to close the hearing. Now we'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval. Second.
Roll call.
Melody Cranford,
Yes.
C.B. Abel,
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery, Tracy Hoos,
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item number 8, please.
Hold a public hearing and consider approval of the proposed termination of Increment District Number 1, Muskogee County, and the project plan relating to Increment District Number 1, Muskogee County, Oklahoma, Project Faith Increment District, or take other necessary action.
Okay, we'll now open a public hearing.
And once again, Mr. Ellis did present the background of this information in item 5.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the public hearing. And we'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item number 9.
Thank you, Nate.
You're welcome.
Consider approval of ordinance number 4233A, an ordinance of the City of Muskogee, Oklahoma, approving utilization of apportioned tax revenues authorized by statewide voting, adopting Article 10, Section 6C of the Oklahoma Constitution, and implemented by the Local Development Act, Oklahoma Statute 62, approving and adopting the Southside Industrial Park Economic Development Project Plan, and expressing intent to carry out the project plan, ratifying and confirming the actions, recommendations, and findings of the Review Committee and the Planning Commission, creating and establishing Increment District Number 6, City of Muskogee, designating and adopting the increment district boundaries and the project area boundaries, adopting certain findings, reserving to the city the authority to make minor amendments to the project plan, authorizing the city council of the city to carry out and administer the project plan, establishing a tax apportionment fund, authorizing directions for prospective apportionment of tax increments, establishing an allocation of use for tax increments, declaring apportionment funds to be funds of the city and limiting the pledge of the apportioned increments to increments actually apportioned by the city, authorizing the city council of the city or a public trust designated thereby to implement the project plan utilizing apportioned tax increments to pay or reimburse project costs directly and or to issue bonds or notes if feasible and desirable, to pay project costs and to retire said bonds or notes from apportioned tax increments, providing for severability, declaring an emergency, and containing other provisions related thereto, or take other necessary action.
Mike Miller.
Yes, I think Tammy said it very well. And this is basically the ordinance that is required to do the things that Mr. Ellis laid out in item number 5. So this is basically our chance, the next 2 items, to implement the ideas and put this into practice. So we're excited about recommending this for approval.
Okay, we'll need 2 motions on this. One to consider approval of the ordinance, and one declaring an emergency. So
Second.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.D. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
yes. Okay, now we need to do it.
I'd like to make a motion to declare this emergency.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item passes. Item number 10.
Consider approval of resolution number 2986, a resolution creating, naming, and establishing the commencement date for increment district number 6, City of Muskogee, ratifying and confirming ordinance number 4233A of the City Council of the City of Muskogee, Oklahoma, providing for severability and containing other provisions related thereto, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Miller.
This is our last TIF-related agenda item for the evening. This is the resolution that does create and sets the commencement date, among other things. It kind of wraps up the package that we've discussed tonight, and we do recommend approval.
Any discussion? Got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Derek Reed. Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item passes. Item number 11.
Hold a public hearing and consider the adoption of ordinance 4230A, requesting the annexation of a portion of the John T. Griffin Industrial Park as I-2 heavy industrial located within Section 10, Township 14 North, Range 18 East, into the city limits of Muskogee, or take other necessary action.
Okay, we'll now open a public hearing. Mr. King, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. To those that I have not met, my name is Jody King. I'm the Director of Planning and Community Development, so I look forward to meeting and work with you guys very closely. On this item, we are adopting ordinance 4230A. It will annex in 7 parcels of the John T. Griffin Industrial Park. The parcels are owned by the Muskogee City County Port Authority, who requested the annexation in an effort to continue the industrial growth of the community. The city will take in the maintenance on Del Tile Road, which is that little weird oblong sliver. And then it'll also take in portions of West Smith Ferry Road, where the property is going to be adjacent to. No other property than what has been requested will be annexed this time. In accordance to the future land use plan of 2013 that was adopted by the City Council, when the property is adopted upon annexation, it will be zoned I-2 heavy industrial. Staff recommends approval. We'll take any questions.
Any discussion? Now we'll close the public hearing. Roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Okay. Item passes. We're striking number 12, item 12. Item number 13, please.
Consider approval of resolution number 2980, declaring items of personal property presently in the possession of the city of Muskogee to be surplus to the needs of the city of Muskogee, and authorize the city manager or his designee to offer for sale or dispose of the same, all as per the attached list, or take other necessary action.
Roger Coleman.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Resolution 2980 calls for the declaration of surplus of certain properties in possession of the city of Muskogee and calls for you to direct staff to dispose of it properly. This item was previously reviewed by the Finance Committee and approved. Staff recommends approval. If you have any questions.
Any discussion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item passes. Item number 14.
Consider approval of resolution number 2987, declaring the eligibility of the city of Muskogee to submit an application to the Oklahoma Department of Transportation for use of Transportation Alternatives Program funds set forth by the Infrastructure Investments and Jobs Act for the North 12th Street Sidewalk TAPS Grant Project in the city of Muskogee, and authorizing the mayor of the city of Muskogee to sign the application or take other necessary action.
Mr. Wilkerson.
Mayor and council members, I'm working with Rebecca Walkup at the nonprofit center on applying for this application. This is an application, TAP application through the Oklahoma Department of Transportation. TAP stands for Transportation Alternative Plans. The project is called the North 12th Street, North 11th Street Super Sidewalk. Was identified in the Connect Muskogee plan that was worked on a couple of years ago, and projects were identified. This is one of the highest ranked projects as part of the plan. It calls for a sidewalk basically from the Martin Luther King Street north to Shawnee Bypass, crossing Shawnee Bypass and continuing on to roughly to approximately Walmart. This is referred to as a super sidewalk, so it's intended for both pedestrians and cyclists there. It will connect to Centennial Trail, which is our citywide trail system, And obviously it connects to the neighborhoods to the south and to the retail development to the north. And probably most importantly, crosses Shawnee bypass. There's very few pedestrian crossings on Shawnee bypass. Anyway, the total project cost is going to be over $1 million. ODOT, if we're approved for the project, ODOT will pay for 80% of that. 20% will be the responsibility of the city, so roughly a little bit more than $200,000 will be responsible by the city. And I think we've talked about using the city matching grant for that if that happens. So the resolution is a requirement for the grant. We're here to ask for you to support it in this resolution. Happy to answer and try to answer any questions.
Any questions? Now, entertain a motion.
Second it.
Roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item passes. Number 15.
Consider approval of the nomination of Councilor Derek Reed to serve as deputy mayor or take other necessary action.
I kind of hesitate to appoint somebody as unexperienced as Mr. Reed, but I'm going to take a chance. I proudly endorse Derek Reed and as our deputy mayor, and I'll make a motion to entertain that.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item passes. Item number 16, please.
Consider approval of claims for all city departments, March 2nd, 2024 through March 29th, 2024, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, the person committee did meet a couple of weeks ago and looked through these and did recommend approval. I would defer to the chair of the person committee as well at this time if she has any other comments that she'd like to make. Otherwise, we'd be happy to answer any questions.
The purchasing committee did meet, and we did approve the claims, so I move for approval.
Second.
Okay. No discussion? Roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Motion passes. Motion passes. Item number 17, please.
Consider approval to accept a grant from ODEQ in the amount of $30,000 for reimbursement of funds expended on a household hazardous waste collection event, and authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement of an interagency contract between the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality and the city of Muskogee for the reimbursement of a household hazardous waste event for fiscal year 2024.
Mr. Avery Rigney.
Actually, I will take that.
You going to take that? Okay, Mr. Mike Stewart.
And actually, I'm going to pass it to Abby Wright, who is the environmental tech in Public Works that manages our stormwater division. And through our stormwater division, we do the household hazardous waste collection event. So Abby will explain the grant, and Avery and I will assist her if there's any questions.
Ms. Abby Wright.
This is a reimbursement grant. We've gotten one in the past. We spend about $30,000, a little bit more on our household pollutant collection events, which collect hazardous waste from the community for residents. And so this is just an agreement for that. And they called, and I actually put in a grant for next fiscal year, and then they called and asked if I wanted a grant for this fiscal year, so I said yes. And so this is for our next June event. So I'd be happy to take any questions.
Great job. Move for approval.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes, item passes. Item number 18.
Consider approval to accept a grant from the Muskogee Medical Foundation in the amount of $16,584.46 to be used for equipment and training for the Muskogee Police Department Medical Support Unit or take other necessary action.
Chief Dee.
Mayor and City Council, this is something we're very excited about. This is a unit that actually is led up by a doctor who is one of our officers, Dr. Antar, as well as Officer Dunlap, PV House, and Reserve Officer Turner. Very excited about the unit. They've already been working and saving lives. It's something that, the thing about first responders is typically we are the first there. So these officers have the ability, they've all EMT certified, so they have the ability to do an upgraded medical assistance when they get on scene, whereas we're waiting for EMS or fire to get there. So very excited about this. This grant was given to us some time ago, but it allows us to buy more equipment and to replace equipment that we've used before. So it's something that we're the first in the state to use, I believe. Our guys have already been, literally gone to Tulsa and trained units there. So again, it's one of something that I'm proud of. Our city should be proud of these guys, again, leading in law enforcement. So be happy to answer any questions.
Great work. Thank you for all you do for the community. Move for approval.
Thank you, Chief. Roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jared Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Roll call. Oh, the item passes. Roll call. How about item 19?
Consider approval of lowest and best bid from Spatco Energy Solutions in the amount of $852,183.21 for new central fueling station, project number 2023006, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Swenson.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, new members of the council, and we welcome you. As many of you know, we own and operate our own fuel system. This is a very aged fuel system that needs replaced. It was built back in the 90s. When it was originally built, it was basically built to take care of public works and a few small departments. Over years of other fuel sites becoming out of compliance, those were shut down, and so police and fire, basically the entire city, fuels there now. So we've actually outgrown it as well as it being outdated. Currently, we have 2 dispensers with 2 hoses each, and they're in line with 2 10,000-gallon tanks. With that current setup, it's kind of difficult to get in the fire trucks and the large equipment such as sanitation trucks when they're in there. It prohibits other vehicles from fueling, so the new proposed site basically doubles our footprint. It gives us 2 islands with 2 unleaded dispensers, 2 hoses each, and 2 diesel dispensers, 2 hoses each. And it's set up in a configuration to where the heavy equipment will fuel on one side and the car and light truck will fuel on the other. So it's a much more efficient system that we're going to build with your approval tonight. So we engineered this last year in 2023. We went out to bid at the end of January of this year. We had held a pre-bid conference. We had 4 companies, pretty much 4 largest ones, attend, answered numerous questions, actually extended the deadline for bids to be submitted while we answered additional questions. When we did receive bids, we received 1 bid from a company called Spatco. We have used this company in the past, very pleased with their performance. They've been able to fix some problems that other companies hadn't been able to fix that we'd previously used, so very satisfied with their abilities. They're a large company, multiple locations, 500 plus employees. I did speak with the other vendors that showed up for the pre-bid conference and asked why they did submit a bid, and basically their answer was all the same. They just didn't have time to do it. Some of them said the project fell just within where it required a general contractor, and they just didn't have time to do it without hiring additional contractors to do such things. Other ones just were simply too busy with the other large projects that were going on. Quick Trip is building, I believe I was told, like 80 new locations in Oklahoma alone. So these companies are very, very busy, and they just said they just simply didn't have the time to put a project of our size. Some of them called it small, some of them called it large, into their additional workload. So after much discussion with staff, we determined that by basically trying to rebid it, we'd just be kicking the can further down the road because they've already told us they don't have time to do it. and we'd like to get this project off and going. This has been on our radar for quite some time. We've noticed this fuel system aging on us, so we have been budgeting over several years to get to this point where we could replace it. So we're pretty happy that we're at the point where we finally can do so. So we respectfully bring this to you tonight for approval to award it to SPATCO in the amount of $852,183.21. I'll be happy to answer any questions if there is any.
Is the fueling station relocated to the fairground?
Yes. It'll be in an area much easily approachable for the fire trucks and the large sanitation trucks, and we have a much larger footprint that we can put it in.
That's great.
Any further questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
Steve Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item passes. Item number 20.
Consider approval to award bids for lawn maintenance services for fiscal year 2024-2025, tentatively beginning July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, for specified city properties or take other necessary action.
Mr. Mark.
Mayor and Council, these bids were presented to Purchasing Committee 2 weeks ago. Purchasing Committee approved them, considered these bids and approved them. Staff would recommend approval for these bids.
Move for approval. Second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
Stevie Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item passes. Item number 21.
Consider the appointment of Councilor Jamie Stout to the City of Muskogee Foundation Board to fill the unexpired term of Councilor Alex Reynolds beginning April 23rd, 2024 and ending on July 31st, 2024, or take other necessary action.
Councilor Tracy Hous.
Thank you, Mayor. This appointment falls on me, and I spoke with Councilor Stout, and I think it should be a good addition to the City of Muskogee Foundation to replace former Councilor Reynolds, so that's my motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
Stevie Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item passes. Item number 22 and 23 will strike. Item number 24, please.
Receive report on status of negotiations with the Port of Muskogee on the contract for industrial development services or take other necessary action.
Ms. Bodenhammer.
Thank you, Mayor. Per instructions of staff given on April 8th, 2024, we have worked with the Port of Muskogee with Ms. Kimber Scott, the director, to help finalize an agreement. We've emailed several times, we've had a telephone conversation, I've answered some questions, and she answered some questions for me. There were also some questions regarding our Economic Development Commission committee ordinance, and I emailed those to Ms. Scott, and we've sent over our final revisions at this stage for Ms. Scott and her attorney to review, and they received that and said they would be in touch with us. So we're making progress on the port agreement. We expect to continue making progress to get us in the port where we need to be.
Mr. Mayor, may I be recognized?
Yes.
One thing, I do know that I'm aware that Stardust is watching this meeting tonight, and that some of this does affect them, just with the TIF agreements and everything. And cities work with the port for over a decade, but this does, I just want the council to know this is a big ask that they're asking when you see this contract, and there's some reasons behind it. For some of the land development for this project to continue, there's a really big project that there's already grant funding for it. However, the port has to float this on the city's behalf, and when they do this, this really affects their capital to move forward with some other projects. That's why this is a big ask. I think that I have met with Mr. Miller and the mayor, and we're really close to a good solution for this. So I just want to thank you guys for doing that, and also thank you, Ms. Bowenhammer, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any further action?
Would this be ready for the next council meeting in 2 weeks, or we gonna have to wait till another month?
I'm hoping by the next one, we're waiting for Ms. Scott's attorney to send us any of their proposed revisions to what we recommended.
If necessary, I think we probably need to have a special call and make sure that we clear this at the next meeting.
Yes, that would be great. Get this going as quick as possible, to move everything else forward.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any action needed on this? Item number 25, please.
Discuss and consider the appointment of 2 city council members to lead a proactive policy and procedures committee to deal with the homeless population and homeless persons being dropped off in the city of Muskogee from other areas, as well as direction on nominating 3 members from entities being directly impacted by the homeless to serve on the committee or take other necessary action.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, on April 8th, 2024 special call council meeting, the council did vote to direct staff to establish a proactive committee to investigate and make recommendations on those public policies and procedures that we just discussed. This item allows the council to appoint those 2 council members to lead the committee, as well as give directions on how to select those 3 citizen committee members from entities being directly impacted by this population. So we place this before the body to take action as necessary as the council so directs.
Is this something we want to take action on this evening or next time?
As far as like my thoughts on having the 3 members would be like someone from WISH, either the Gospel Rescue Mission, Salvation Army, Green Country Behavioral Health, that deal with our homeless and homeless situations every day.
I've heard those mentioned before.
I think that we have, oh, sorry.
So I would be willing to work with this committee. I do a lot in the community with the homeless population already. I have been in contact with someone from Telephone. They have a center there, and maybe we can reach out to them and see exactly what they're doing in Telephone with their day center and some of the things that I think former councilor Reynolds mentioned before he left the last meeting.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept Melody as one of our council members. Do I have a second? Okay, is there anyone else today who would like to volunteer for a position on that board? Okay. Shirley? I'll make a motion for Shirley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery. Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell.
Yes. Item passes.
If I may, before we depart, I want to make sure that those council members that are serving on the committee have sufficient direction to populate the board with those other 3, and that I'm going to assume that this is granting those council members the authority to reach out and establish the other 3 members.
Yes.
It's in good hands.
Yes, thank you. Item number 26.
Consider directing staff to prepare a budget amendment transferring funds in the amount of $455,000 from the city's hotel motel tax fund to the Muskogee Tourism Authority to be restricted for tourism capital expenditures or support for major tourism projects.
Okay, I think we have a citizen signed up to speak. Ms. Tracy McGee. And Ms. McGee, you'll have 5 minutes and state your name only, please.
Tracy McGee. I stand before you this evening to ask the city manager a question. Why didn't the city council know about the overage money? I think it's very important to be transparent and accountable. I also sit on the tourism board, and I know many times we struggled with financing tourism events for lack of funding. We should have known about the funds and that they were available. And my last city council seat, I asked for it, Forensic got it. one of the reasons is for this purpose here. I just think that as a council person, we all should be in the know, and that the city manager should be accountable and transparent to the people. And so when we see money just fall out the air like it did, I just think that's unfortunate because we should have known about it. Thank you.
May I answer the question?
Yes, you may. Thank you.
The council did know about this money. The council did appropriate this money. Councilor McGee was among those advocating and allocating this money within the past fiscal year. We've spent more than $90,000 this year out of these funds that you claim you knew nothing about. This council voted to expend those funds from this seat in a public way, in a transparent way, and I take it personally that there would be any implication that this body or myself will not conduct ourselves in a transparent way regarding these funds.
And I might further add, this is a line item on our balance sheet, isn't it?
Yes. So these are, we can spend some time if you'd like to, but this time last year I was taking criticism because I budgeted carryover funds. And some of you that were on the council last year remember I took some heat from certain council members for budgeting carryover funds. So this was carryover funds that is available and the council used, and Councilor McGee and others. We used the money this past year, $30,000 to assist vaccination fishing tournament, $15,000 for the NJCAA tournament, $35,000 for supplemental funding for the Roxy Theater, $10,000 for sponsorship of the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame that the council approved and knew about, and there was no hidden money. The council was not only aware, they were appropriating these funds.
I might also add that I believe the manager has been and was being very transparent on this issue, as he always is. Very transparent about everything, and everything is on our books and audits. It's right there for everybody to see. I don't see that anything has been done wrong. Everybody, if you're not aware of it, it was something that was missed. But I think the city's done a good job of transparency, and that would certainly include Mr. Miller.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, I guess we'll consider
definition, a clear definition on the monies when it arrives over to the tourism capital expenditures and major tourism projects. Just specifically, what is the money going to be used for?
To attract new events and for large capital projects.
My understanding is it's not for operating costs.
Correct. No operating costs would this be useful. Like I said, I move for approval.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a,
Mr. Mayor, can I ask?
yes, sir.
Is this still going to, we've had budget discussions of taking money out as funds for some of our museums and everything. Is this going to go to where that's going to be still funded through this? Or?
Well, that'll be our new money coming in for the next year's budget. This is the surplus money from the last several years of additional money coming in higher than what we predicted.
Okay. All right. So all this is our fund has grown up, and we're allocating those monies for the tourism to use as they see fit. They've got some ideas about some things they want to do with that money, and I think we need some capital expenditures on some kiosks and whatnot, so I think they're going to put the money to good use.
To be clear, what this item does is gives direction to staff to prepare a budget amendment. And as such, it will come before you again, and it will have the restrictions that you all get to look at, and then decide if there will be appropriate ones or not, and those to make sure that they meet the appropriate restrictions that you would like.
Thank you, Manager. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Melody Cranford.
Yes.
C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Booth.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Hale.
Yes. Okay, the item passes. Okay, now we'd like to recognize citizens wishing to speak to the mayor and council. And we've got Miss Hazel Wood. And if you would, give your name only.
Yes.
And you have 3 minutes.
Okay, my name is Hazel Haiti Wood, and I've lived in Muskogee since 1981. I've raised my children and my grandchildren here. I love this city. And that's why I'm very disturbed about our littering and trash issues all throughout the city, as you well know, everywhere you go. Personally, I spend 4 hours on a weekend picking up trash, mainly at Spalding Park, and I spend an hour daily picking up trash, with the exception of tonight, because I'm here. I'll be in your bonnets. This is just suggestions. We need to educate our children in schools with possibly an assembly twice a year talking about littering and why not to do it. I think we need to motivate our businesses, organizations, and churches, get them geared up to maybe pick a day or two out of the year, just 1 day or 2 out of the year with all of our organizations and groups, that they could pick up trash and then promote it on social media, and that way it kind of gives that trickle-down effect, and everybody's saying, oh, I want to do that too, hopefully. And our businesses need to be required to monitor their lots and properties, because, you know, I've walked across lots and had trash just blown at me near Walmart more than one time. What steps can be taken? What can we do as a city? Because I'm afraid we're going to be the prettiest landfill in the state if we don't start doing something to turn it around. We need to educate our people, and we need to do something now. But and I would be more than happy to help with anything. I still work full-time, and but I'd be more than happy to participate in any committee or lead up anything, or, you know, do jumping jacks, whatever. But and that's it.
Thank you for that, and thank you for the enthusiasm about our city. Real, very good. Okay. Item number 27, please.
Consider an executive session to discuss and take possible action on the following. A, pursuant to section 307B2, Title 25 of the statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss negotiations with the International Association of Firefighters, local number 57, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session. B, pursuant to section 307B2, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss negotiations with a fraternal order of police lodged number 25, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session. C, pursuant to section 307B2, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss negotiations with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, local number 2465, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Melody Cranford. Yes. C.B. Abel.
Yes.
Shirley Hill Flannery. Yes. Jamie Stout. Yes. Deputy Mayor Jared Reed. Yes. Mayor Patrick Hale.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Okay, everyone, we are back in session. Okay, we'll wait.
Tyler, our microphones don't appear to be on.
Yes, sir. All right. Okay, everybody, we're back in session. Roll call, please.
Mayor Patrick Hale.
Yes, here.
Deputy Mayor Jared Reed.
Here.
Excuse me, Jamie Stout. Here. Tracy Hoos.
Here.
Shirley Hilton Flannery. Here. Melody Cranford. Here.
Ms. Bowden.
Thank you, Mayor. 27A, pursuant to section 307B2, Title 25 Oklahoma statute, council did convene an executive session to discuss the negotiations with the International Association of Firefighters, local number 57, and An appropriate motion would be for staff to proceed as directed in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Melody Cranford?
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery?
Yes.
Tracy Hous?
Yes.
Jackie Stout?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell?
Yes.
Item number B, pursuant to section 307B2, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, council did convene an executive session to discuss negotiations with the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge number 95, and an appropriate motion would be for staff to proceed as directed in executive session.
Do you have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Melody Cranford?
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery?
Yes.
Tracy Hous?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell?
Yes. Okay, next item.
27C, pursuant to section 307B2, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, council did convene an executive session to discuss negotiations with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, local number 2465, and an appropriate motion would be for staff to proceed as directed in executive session.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Melody Cranford?
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery?
Yes.
Tracy Hous?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Patrick Kell?
Yes. That concludes the meeting. Meeting adjourned.